come here, you motherfucker, yeah. Sold us out for a measly few dollars. You know the story's gold dust. Are you playing for us? So are your words hollow? Falling, this show makes you a man. If you offer more, we'll come back if we can. So call me when you know. Oh, at least you've got my number on your phone.
It was Thanksgiving Day, and we had a bunch of people over to our house, and the game was on in the background, and we were kind of half watching it, and the halftime show came on, and I'd been drinking martinis. And so I was in this state where I'm susceptible to, you know, visions and revelations. And so I actually started watching the halftime show, and it's pretty much the way I write it in the book. I mean, I don't exaggerate. It's, you know, this insane mashup of, you know, Destiny's Child, dancers, flag girls, baton twirlers, marching bands, United States soldiers. You know, just this kind of like militarism and softcore porn, you know, just all like crammed together, and I thought, that's my country. And those words were so overused in America in those years. I mean, every time Bush got on the TV, I mean, he said courage, sacrifice, supreme sacrifice, you know, terror, 9/11, 9/11, 9/11. And it got to the point where I felt like all real meaning had been sucked out of those words. They were unmoored from anything that resembled reality. And so they were kind of floating free in the atmosphere, untethered. And so I thought, you know, that's the only way I could think of to halfway represent that. It's just, they're just kind of floating free in the atmosphere. I mean, they don't really mean anything anymore except as advertising. And again, you know, thinking about, you know, young men, 19-year-old young men, as superficial and crazy out of their minds as they may seem, I think they too have very complex interior lives. And maybe they haven't developed maybe they don't have the education or just don't have the reflective powers yet, or maybe never, to articulate what they're feeling and thinking. But it's happening. You know, on some level it's happening within them. And so the way I approached this was, I mean, all these things are happening. Billy is having these thoughts and he's feeling these emotions at some level. And if you could sit him down at any particular moment and say, okay, Billy, let's walk you through it. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? This is what would come out. But it's all happening just like that. So I felt like this is the way I rationalized it. Well, it's my job as the writer-narrator. I am allowed to articulate these things that Billy is thinking and feeling, even if he's not, you know, having the thoughts per se. This is the essence of the experience. And so I think, I mean, in a way he is an everyman, but he's an everyman who, by virtue of, you know, having these ultimate experiences in combat, has become extremely alert and alive to the world around him. It seems the airiest thing there is, and yet the realest. But how you enter that world, he has no idea except by passage through that other foreign country called college. And that ain't happening. He will not return to the classroom, ever. The mere thought inflames a whole host of piss-offs and associated grudges that go all the way back to kindergarten, not to mention the sheer soul-sucking boredom of those years. If there is real knowledge to be had in the Texas public schools, he never found it. And only lately has he started to feel the loss, the huge criminal act of his state-sanctioned ignorance, as he struggles to understand the wider world, how it works, who gains, who loses, who decides. It is not a casual thing, this knowledge. In a way, it might be everything. A young man needs to know where he stands in the world, not just as a matter of basic human dignity, but as determinants in the ways and means of survival, and what you might hope to gain by application of honest effort.
realities of life and the pull of the empty.
It is a political book, and my fellow Americans need to build a bridge and get over it. You know, I don't see how it couldn't be political. I mean, because, okay, when you're writing about war, there is, you know, the essential question, what? What is happening? But a half a second behind that, you have to ask why. I mean, because these are the most extreme situations you can put people in. I mean, to risk their lives, and not only to risk their lives, but to kill. I mean, to kill other human beings. And so, you know, if it's not political, it's a video game. And to the extent it is political, I hope the politics came from the inside out, like come from the characters and work their way out instead of me, hopefully, you know, not being ham-handed and like slathering the politics on it. I hope it's you know, just intrinsic in who these people are and what they've done and what they're being asked to do. Army life in general and the war in particular have rendered Billy acutely sensitive to quantity. Not that it's rocket science. None of the higher mathematics is involved, for war is the pure and ultimate realm of dumb quantity. Who can manufacture the most death? If you think the United States is materialistic, is besotted with free market, you know, philosophy, to the point of it's a kind of religion. If you think the United States is you know, all these things, militaristic and jingoistic and anti-intellectual, I mean, all of these things reach. I mean, you get such a pure strain of it in Dallas, and so which just happens to be my hometown. And then you've got the Dallas Cowboys football team, which for a while was known as America's team. And then you get the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, who they select, you know, the most all-American looking girls. They can get this kind of wholesome voluptuousness. Seems to be the standard. He understands that they're sincere when they say these things. And yet, how can they really be sincere when they have no idea what they're talking about? Because war is basically necrophilia. It's not clean and virtuous and you know, parts of it may be honorable, but it is basically who can manufacture the most death. And Billy would love for he needs for his fellow citizens to understand this.
Stay sharp and stay alive.
They were taking small arms fire from somewhere above, sloppy, sporadic, deadly nonetheless. Finally it sourced to a 4-story apartment building down the street. There are flower pots in the windows, laundry strung from the sills. "Call it in," Captain Tripp radioed to LT. So LT calls in the strike. 2 155mm HE rounds engage and the whole building, no, half the block goes down, boom. Problem solved in a cloud of flame and smoke. So screw all the high-tech precision-guided media horse stuff. The only way to really successfully invade a country is by blasting it to hell.
But he's thinking of home. Oh, he's thinking. Oh, and he's thinking of home. Oh, and he's thinking of home.